How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. I am your host, FaZe Crypto. Today, we will be discussing TRON TRX, which recently had a nice little jump in price, and of course, a 10% boost in an hour as Justin Sun finally hosts a lunch with Warren Buffett. This is interesting news right here. Then, of course, nice little picture of Justin next to Warren Buffett, which is pretty cool. And so just when the cryptoverse thought it never happened, the long-awaited dinner between TRON CEO Justin Sun and crypto skeptic billionaire Warren Buffett was finally eaten in late January. Following the news, TRX jumped 12%. And this is a pretty good opportunity to talk about the decentralization of the web and essentially what technologies like TRON really have to offer. And I think that when we discuss the intricacies of how Justin Sun has been doing a lot of these different marketing campaigns and stuff, it's easy to get wrapped up in a lot of the different clout chasing aspects of cryptocurrency, when in reality I think that it's important for us to look at the fundamentals and the underlying activity that we're actually seeing happening. And I think that it's also important to talk about what we've seen TRON doing with BitTorrent, and of course what we can expect to see happening in the long-term future with TRON, and of course the emergence of the sort of web, the next sort of paradigm of the internet as we see it sort of expanding and manifesting right before our eyes. And with no mix of words, paying very close attention to the different updates that we're seeing happening with TRON will be very interesting to look at how we actually watch a lot of these different aspects of the space coming into full cycle. And of course, I want to just play this video right here which I find quite interesting. Just give us a little bit more context, and look at a couple different perspectives. We don't run the risk of sounding like a broken record here. So let's get right into this.
When you say that you want to be more competitive with Ethereum, and in particular with DeFi applications, is the focus on being more competitive first in the Asian markets, or is it more global than that? Where's the initial focus?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I think our initial objects is on Asian market, because even though I don't know if you noticed, even USDT is widely used in Asian markets rather than Western markets, right? Because people more take on USDT is more offshore currency in Asia market, right? Rather than in Western markets. Actually, Huobi, Binance, they hold much even more than Krakens, right? In USDT markets. So that's why I feel like the first focus will be Asian market, and then we'll gradually expand to Western markets.
I think that he had a pretty interesting point there when he was talking about USDT in Western markets, and it's not to be overlooked, especially right now with what we're seeing, in terms of the different things that are happening in the cryptocurrency space. But in other related news, crypto related, of course, Ethereum switch to POS won't cover for declining staking rewards. Ethereum's imminent switch to proof of stake, consensus algorithm has been picking up significant traction over the past year. The divide between proof of stake and proof of stake assets has also been increasing lately, with proof of stake assets continuing to promote mainnet launches. However, POW assets had an upper hand in 2019. According to a recent report, Bitcoin remains the most secure network in the POW space, as it would cost hackers over $10 million to attack the system for 24 hours. Definitely interesting. More on that to come. But right now I want to talk about this $9,761 Bitcoin at the current time of making this video, and of course what we can expect to see long term. While we watch the crypto space sort of head over heels attempt, of course, TRON top performer at the time making this video, and I think that it is interesting, to see altcoins like TRON able to outperform the pack, at least temporarily. Novogratz, surprised by XRP performance this year, has the broader alt market, including XRP, has outperformed BTC, has surprised me. He wrote, that said, I see more and more large accounts getting educated and set up to be accumulators of BTC and believe on a risk-adjusted basis it's the best place to bet on crypto. Novogratz was posting a day after making, of course, XRP Ripple, and his perspective there, definitely an interesting one, worthy of taking into note. But this one, why Bitcoin traders should be worried. So Bitcoin traders need to be worried for the number of reasons. Of course, at the top of the list is a lack of confidence in their trades. Most people in the market cannot make a decision. When they make a decision, they keep doubting it. Now they worry about that decision, but I don't call it worrying. That is just wasting time. Worrying would be if thinking about that led to something productive, let's say strategy. The reason it is important to have a strategy in place is because markets can be unpredictable. I expected the beginning of the phase of confusion in the market soon as BTC USD shot past the 200-day moving average. That is where a lot of retail bears started to doubt themselves and began to question whether they were right. If being right means a clear rejection of the 200-day moving average at a point where the stakes are this high, then perhaps you would be better off buying and selling rather than actively trading. There are only two things that matter in this market. The first is technical analysis, and the second is psychological analysis. Not that I necessarily agree with such a statement, but I think that it is an interesting introduction to, I was just going to say, if we are entering into more of a bullish cycle, you guys have to be doing your research and staying confident in the decisions that you make 100%. Of course, remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Not your financial advisor, not your dad. Only making this video so that I could talk about my own opinion. But I think it will be interesting to see, scalability, and of course availability, in TRON, how they'll be performing in the long term. It will be interesting, of course, 943 nodes online. And we will be watching, in particular, while we see platforms like YouTube and Facebook and sort of the old guard social media giving, sort of mismanaging themselves into decline in a MySpace mode, essentially. I mean, we already see, in Japan, even with Libra and so forth, the idea of a cryptocurrency overlaying with a social media network isn't really a foreign concept. I think it's more of a question of when rather than a question of if. And I think it's also a question of who and by who. It's which of these technologies will actually be the one to be first out of the gate. And I think TRON does have itself pretty strategically well set up to make some pretty interesting moves. So we'll be paying close attention to that, and the potential for TRON Bullrun, the Warren Buffett sort of particulars. So all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have found this information informative. Please comment down below letting us know the country that you guys are watching us from. In the last video, we had comments from people from Australia, United States, Canada, Japan, China. So always interesting to hear. And of course, tune in for the live stream. Stay subscribed and let us know. Anyways, stay relevant, everybody. I'll see you guys next one. Have a good one.